Disclaimer time. I am not a professional nor an expert. I am teaching myself how to repair electronics one random broken video game at a time. So I may do things that are not exactly the right way or the most efficient way. Thank you for watching and enjoy. Hey guys, Hopeful Repairman here with another video of random video game repair. Let's go ahead and spin the wheel and see what game we'll be working on today. Please don't be DS. I will take it. Yay. Okay. Game Boy Color. Ba, 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 ba. And, ooh, Army Men Sarge's Heroes 2. Cool. I like that series. Very nice. The first thing we do is we test. Now, I do want to point out that the screw is missing from the back here. It looks like the post is gone for the game. All right. Okay, we have a missing Nintendo logo. So the ROM chip presumably is not communicating with the cartridge pins itself. Is the exposure a little too high? My right hand makes the exposure go crazy. It doesn't really happen with my right hand, but my right hand? I don't know. Oh well, future repairman here, and I realized once I put this game in that it slid up. So when I tested the game out, it just slid up, although it had just a black Nintendo bar. So we gotta figure out a new case real quick just to test it out. And I think we'll just use Test Drive Le Mans here and use this case. Oh, we actually have some, corrosion there on that pin. Looks like some corrosion here on this via too, right there. Okay. Well, I guess since we got this out, we'll go ahead and just clean it. Well, actually, no. Let's make sure that was in fact the issue, and to make sure that was not the issue. Okay, yeah, garbled Nintendo logo now. Okay. I figured that would happen, but might as well test it. So that way, if we break it, we know it was our fault and not the game's. Okay. Now we're gonna have to clean up these pins. They actually don't look too bad. They look pretty clean except for that spot. I'm wondering if that is that rust or is that some corrosion? My exposure on my app setting is going wonky, so hopefully this will show up. I want to try something. I have a cheap Chinesium microscope. Supposedly these are just dash cams with a magnifier on the inside. I don't know if that's legitimate or true or not, but yeah. You can guess the quality of the picture coming up. And here we are under the cheapo Chinesium microscope. Looking at those two discolored spots, I kind of wonder if they were just some copper showing, something wore down or something, but it's a little weird. Doesn't really look like corrosion. I actually used this microscope to do some Nintendo Switch rework. Removed a chip and everything. Kinda put it back. Kinda did, kinda didn't. That's a story for another day. And the corrosion on the top seems to be cleaned up pretty good. And there is something going on here. It appears to be maybe some rust. So I want to try my glass stove top cleaner and polish from Wyman. I've heard a few people say that this might not be good for the cartridges. However, I've asked a professional repair group on Facebook, and there were some people that were saying it's fine. So use it at your own discretion. I've had no problems with it so far, so I think it's okay. We'll just put some on this Q-tip here. And we'll make sure to focus on this area. I'm also wondering, is there any red coming up? No. I'm noticing this band of copper here, which is weird. Is that some sort of degradation on the solder mask? I don't know. There's definitely some issues here. Oh wow, look at that. All right. There's definitely some issues here. Let's clean it off with some alcohol and see if there's any difference. Okay, and there we go. A little bit of gunk there. All right, so there we go. It's not horrible. Let's see if that did any difference at all. Grab our Game Boy Any difference? Nope, still garbled. So this Nintendo logo is for security. It has to be picture perfect in order for the Game Boy to actually load. Otherwise, the Game Boy thinks it's counterfeit. It has something to do with the Nintendo security stuff. So that is held on in this ROM chip itself. So the ROM chip here communicates with this MBC controller, which is a memory bank controller, also known as a mapper. The mapper switches from lines of code in the ROM, which tells it which line of code to display. Now I'm assuming that the mapper has to switch to the line of code that stores that hexadecimal doodad number for the security code, displays the Nintendo logo, and then starts reading the ROM. So we're not getting there, so there's a disruption between the ROM reading, the Game Boy reading the ROM, and displaying that Nintendo logo. So could it be these pins? It is definitely possible. But on these Nintendo cartridges, a lot of the times these Game Boy cartridges have a loose pin, broken pin, bad solder joint, what have you. So we'll go ahead and go out to the nice microscope and check everything out, see if there's anything that we can detect. If we can detect something, if we see a problem, if we see a broken trace or something, we'll go ahead and check it out. If we don't see anything visible, we'll come right back and then grab the multimeter and start scoping everything out.
And here we go, checking out the pins under the microscope. Seems more like some copper showing through, not just like rust. I don't know if this is nickel plated, if that's a thing for these Game Boys or not. There's a chip missing out of it, so I don't know. And of course we check the ROM chip for any loose pins. Sometimes these pins come unsoldered on the corners especially, but I'm not really seeing any pins that are out of whack. They're all in their place, and there's not really any movement to them. So I guess that's a good thing. Even this little chip, the mapper, is pretty solid in there, so that is not apparently the culprit. Now here's where the culprit is probably going to be found at. We've got this point right here. If we look at this, these are vias, so these little circles of copper, which can go through the board, and I'm not really 100% sure how they work, but there is definitely a huge amount of corrosion eating away at the copper. I was going to say gold, but that didn't sound right. But, well, I mean gold plated. Would they be gold plated or would they be copper plated? I'm not really sure. But yeah, definitely some corrosion. And cleaning it up helped a little bit. It almost feels like it was some sort of candy residue. Maybe something sugary. I don't know. And let's go back.
Yeah, that is something funky going on there. So we got to clean that up first and see if that is doing anything. There's no gold context on that point, so this might not be the issue, but might as well clean it up. Feeling green's coming up. It's not the solder mask though, but I think something was like very funky on there. Wonder if we'll have some broken connections. Not sure what exactly their set is. Let's get a little bit more alcohol on there and make sure we're clean. Alright. I think that is pretty good. So these vias definitely could be broken. It might even have some pulled pads there because you see that gold brass, whatever that is. But these ones do not. Let's just go ahead and check real quick. You know, I know we've already done this like, what, 4 or 5 times. But let's go ahead and check this again. You never know if it's fixed itself. And no, okay. Still garbled. Alright. Let's go ahead and go to the microscope and check it out.
And right off the bat, we can see a problem already. We got a broken line from one via to the other. Probably a few broken lines, but found one for sure. I had some comments saying that you could take some solder, and if the gap was small enough, you could bridge the solder and you didn't need to run a wire. So I tried that in vain, and that did not really work out as well as I would hope. But I figured I'd show the process, and yeah, it was just too much of a gap, even with a bunch of solder. So then I switched to some good old-fashioned jumper wire, and my soldering skills and hand-eye coordination are not the best, but after some time and some patience, managed to get that wax coating, or rather enamel coating, stripped off. I still seem to be having some issues with getting these wires tacked down. My soldering iron may not be the best, but we gotta do what we gotta do, and this is about all we can do. So And after a few minutes, we have a solid set wire to fix the via. And we have this area to the left. I had to switch around the circuit board to make sure it was under the camera and I could reach it. Tried to add some fresh solder, some flux. I'm not sure what I was doing here, but whatever I did kind of messed things up here. So I don't know if that what's coming up is necessarily solder mask or if it's some sort of gunk. It's kind of weird looking. In hindsight, watching this back, I really didn't need to scrape this area, but there's a rookie mistake. And it ultimately cost us some integrity on this line. As we can now see, as we brush it away, all of a sudden, a good portion of that line is now gone. So it's going to definitely need to have some more wire tacked on. Okay, now I'm not sure if this was the right idea, but definitely was having issues getting it stuck down. Lot of residue and a lot of gunk just being built up. It seems like there was residue inside the via as well, so something definitely got corroded in here. Now I thought that the best option would be to go from the via on the bottom to the via on the top. I don't know if this is the right way, but it's the way I tried doing it. And I just decided to solder from the top via all the way to the bottom via. And if you're not sure what a via is, well, I didn't either, so I actually go into it later in the video, but I believe that the simple term is that there's holes from one side of the board to the other. Alright, and now if you look here, we can see some definite battle damage from some sort of corrosive element. My money would be some sugary concoction, but of course you can never really tell. I'm not sure. It might be just some corrosive element. I'm not sure. And even they were even widening the hole, the via, so I don't know how much this is really gonna be able to save this. Now I knew that there was some breaks down from the bottom to the via, but I wasn't sure if there was any breaks from the via to the top, or if the vias were even structurally intact. But definitely some issues. Let's go ahead and go back to the game cartridge and go from there. After I clean this area up, because I forgot there was this little bit here. Okay, now let's switch over. Now.
I don't have any spare boards, otherwise I could take this off and this off, presuming I have, but I don't have any extra parts or extra boards, so we'll try to fix this one and see how far we get. All right, let's go ahead and break Monty out. Now we want to put Monty into continuity mode. We're looking for happy little beeps. For the life of me, I cannot find where this connection goes from here anywhere up to here. It's very difficult to follow these lines. I think it should go to this right side. But so far, nothing. So there might be a break somewhere, unless I'm doing this wrong. Which I might very well be. I don't know how you'd follow that. I mean, maybe if I looked at it a little bit closer, but it's even harder to tell. I mean, we do see some copper in there, right? You know what, I'm wondering if the via itself has an issue, because we can see some copper here, or brass here, but we can't see anything here. So, let me just make a little... There. That should be enough of the copper removed. And if we get a beep here, then it's not at the via. Okay. We're fine to there, so the via looks okay. What I don't understand is where is this going? Alright, so first things first, knowledge is power, and we don't have any knowledge, so we're weak sauce. So we need to look up some board schematics. We need to see if we can figure out where all these connections are, because I'm not a professional, not an expert. I don't know how these PCBs are developed, right? I don't know how the sausage is made, as it were, so I don't know where all these vias are supposed to go and how it all works electronically. All I know is no beep, no work, so we got to figure out where beep go and go from there. Okay, I've done my research online, and I did find a website that had PCB files. I think they're called Gerber files, but I might be completely mispronouncing that. But they are PCB files you send them off to places like PCBWay, and they can make a cartridge PCB thing. Unfortunately, they didn't have the variety of board we have here, this DMG A07. They did have some scanned board pictures, so I'll go ahead and link that in the description in case anybody else needs something like that, or maybe they can look at it and say, oh hey, I need that for my repair things. But what I did do is GameBoyHardware.com, I believe. I might be mispronouncing that. And they have pictures of boards. And what I did is I took up one of the pictures. What I did was just used MS Paint and made a line from the pin down here all the way up here. Now, of course, this is in black and white. Don't have a color printer with ink, so I lack the resources to print out in color. So we'll have to just do with this. But this pin here, which we were having issues, and I'm just counting where we got this V part here. So it goes down here. So this part is where I'm starting with the 1. I also marked out the pin over on the left side just for grins. But we can see where I think it's pin 3 goes, and pin 3 goes over here, not over here. So we will soon find out if we can find continuity. Well, we'll start at pin 1. So pin 1 should go to here. Oh, second one. Yes. So pin 1 goes there. And pin 2 should go over here, which is right here. Yes. Good, good, good. Pin 3, which is one we're having some issues with, goes right above pin 2. So this is pin... Is this where it should go? Aha. We are having an issue here. So should go from here, goes all the way up, traced out to this via here. It's via right here. So it's the third pin from these vias. So this is 1, 2, 3. Now we should have continuity here, but we are not having any continuity at all. So that one is for sure not working. The ones we have marked here, and except for, was it 7? I think it was 7, had some issues. So 7 had some continuity. So that might just be the via, some corrosion, or the probes itself. What we're gonna do is open up some of these traces and see if we get continuity between the via and the trace, and see if we get continuity between the trace and the vias up here. I think that's a good idea. We have exposed the copper, because if we get a beep between this point here and this point here, then we know that there's an issue further along the track, which is kind of a problem, but we'll figure that out. So do we have continuity? We have continuity there. We don't have continuity. Oh, hello. We don't have continuity here. So that means there's a break on the via, or the via is destroyed. No continuity here, no continuity here, and no continuity here. So we either have an issue with the via or right before the via. But what I'm wondering is, now I know the via, if I'm understanding it correctly, the via is connecting one half or one layer of the board to the other layer. So these vias are on both sides of the board and they connect paths to both sides. What I don't know is, if we were to grind out one of these vias with our pen here, just, go into the hole, can we do that? Or are we just soldering to the underlayer copper mask, shield, whatever you want to call it, the layer that is, because I think when they build these things, it's a whole strip of copper, layer upon layer upon layer. Now what I don't know, and I think these are 2-layer boards, what I'm trying to understand is, if the via is up here and it's a little tiny metal disc here, does that mean if we grind this via out and put a jumper wire between this point and this point, if we have to, because if the pad's gone, the pad's gone. Okay, let me think this through. Let me get this through. So what I'm trying to understand is, how do these vias work? Are they just rings, like little pads? Do they have separation between 2 layers? So my question is let's say we have top half of the board here, and our bottom half here. And we say, all right, so our via is here, right? So there's our via. And then the line goes somewhere out there. Now, this via here should be in the same area on this board here, and this via or trace goes somewhere else. What I don't know is, once this via is gone, once this pad is gone, and we dig it out, we just, dig it out, dig this whole little area out, does that mean we are soldering to this layer itself, or are we soldering to this area here? I should probably look up some information on YouTube, some videos, and get back, and then we'll go from there. Okay, I've done a preliminary rundown of how the vias should work on this game. So basically there are a few different types of vias, but I believe that we have a 2-layer PCB. Could be wrong. So we got 2 layers here. And the vias, again, can be different, but some of them go like this. They make a little chamber and are like that. Obviously, the line here wouldn't be there, but some vias are like this. Some vias can be like this. So, yeah, it would be like this one here is the top. This one would be the bottom layer. But I'm hoping this is the type we have, where it's just kind of conical and it goes from one layer to the other. So if we take our soldering iron, if we have to, flood this area with some solder, and it should work, presumably. I'm hoping. So that's the plan, if we have to, because I don't know if we have any pads left. All right, enough blathering on needlessly. Let's go to the microscope and get to soldering.
And now here we are back under the microscope and got the grinding tool going away, getting that solder mask off, and it does a pretty good job. It's a little more aggressive than we probably need for these traces, but it does fine. Then we use some flux, and instead of flooding the via holes, I think it'd be a better idea to solder from one end of the via to the other. Is that the best way to do it? I don't know. Is that the right way to do it? I'm not sure. Oh, that's why we did it anyways. And what we did also is take the wire, solder it to the top of the via, or the top of the line, and feed it through kind of like sewing. So we just feed it through the top of the via, and then we connect it to the other side on the bottom of the via. I don't know if this is a good connection or not, and I did fix this solder bridge coming up, and did this a few times, rinse and repeat. Now back to the game.
And there we have it. Hopefully we got all the connections right. Strangely enough, when I used the multimeter out in the garage, we were getting continuity on these other little pins. So there was only 3 jumper wires that needed a connection to be repaired. So I don't know why, but I guess I got some wrong. So we'll have to verify 100% that all the connections go to everywhere else. We also checked out the continuity of these pins here, and surprisingly, they are actually okay. Continuity-wise, they are electrically connected to the bottom areas. The vias connect to these little pins here, so we're good on that. And let's grab Monty back out. And so we are pretty good. Might also have to check from here to here. What about up here? Because this one should be going to here. Ah. Did we put the jumper wire on the wrong one? Now I'm concerned that we put the jumper wire on the wrong one. So, pin 1 should be going up to the second one from the bottom. So, pin 1 down here, right here, should be going to here. Okay, we're good. And this one should go right to this ground, yeah, or VDD. Okay, now, so I am concerned about the corrosion because it doesn't look bad like here, but it seems to be infiltrating into these holes. So we're just gonna grab some isopropyl alcohol, a toothbrush, a hope and a prayer, and see if we can clean this thoroughly. Might also have to polish these pins up again. Of course, we have to be careful with the other side because the other side has some delicate solder work. Soft Brussels shouldn't be too much of a problem. And hopefully our little Game Boy Bro thing over here will not have any more cavities. All right, look at that. So yeah, definitely getting some gray. This is the other end, so that was a whole fresh new end of that. Let's go ahead and clean it up a little bit with some isopropyl alcohol. Now there was some concern, like I've said a couple of times, where this stuff leaves some residue. I really don't think that's true. It's possible, but we always use the alcohol anyways because we don't need chemicals interfering with the connections, whether it's alcohol or whether it's fluff from an eraser. We don't want anything to come between metal on metal. It should be okay. The pins themselves look pretty good. I don't know. We got a little bit of a raise going on at the top, which is kind of bothering me. Is that okay? Well, we'll see. I don't know how far these go down into the chips. If they go to the vias, that might be a problem. We'll be gentle with it and we'll check. Place your bets now. I must be tired. I was putting that thing in backwards. 1, 2, 3, go. Garbled Nintendo logo, so still having an issue. All right. It could be a break somewhere else, so we got to check out every single one of these pathways. We also have to check and make sure we have full continuity between the CPU or the ROM chip and the mapper. Now, if this is anything like an original Game Boy game, this top pin doesn't go anywhere. It may go somewhere, but it doesn't go anywhere on the original Game Boy. And see if we can probe out some of these issues. Okay, that goes there. Okay. All right. We might have found... Oh. Hold up. That one looks a little weird. You know what? No, I guess that is going somewhere. So let's see here. I think we were having an issue with... Let's see. This is pin 1, 2, 3. I think it was pin 4. It's not going anywhere that I can tell. It's not going to the mapper. It's not going to the pins unless I'm... Oh, there it goes. I just didn't have it on the pin, correct? All right. You know what I think we'll do? I think we'll go ahead and solder up the ROM chip and the mapper. Make sure that we've got full connections because maybe there's a loose pin that we just didn't notice and go from there.
And here we are back under the microscope, getting the flux on the board and pinning down each one of these pins, just to rule out any possible breakage or short. Doing both sides of the chip, the ROM chip. Trying to work at it, make sure that these are all centered and not going to be pushed out of the way, because that would be really weird. Probably wouldn't be able to push them out of the way unless they were broken. I don't know what I'm saying anymore. And going on to the mapper chip, if I can speak English correctly. And trying to get some bridging. I probably needed some more flux here, but it worked itself out. There's a lot of little pins on the mapper chip. Definitely needed more flux. I might have added some more, but getting it done anyway. And brush it off with some isopropyl alcohol. Make sure it's all nice and clean. Although I don't know if this really does enough. I feel like I need an ultrasonic cleaner to really clean these boards off. And we are back to the game.
And we just need to clean up these pins one more time. Make sure there's no residual flux or anything else on here. This will also be the third time we're applying this glass stovetop cleaner, so we'll see how the pins look after this. And we are getting some gray coming up still. Alright. Alright, let's go ahead and put it back in the case and see if that did anything. Nope. Let's check the integrity of our work on these wires. Maybe something came loose. Alright, well, all the wires seem to be okay. Now let me check something, because maybe we were mistaken, and maybe does this via here go to this via on the other side? Yes. So we were right. This via, let me make sure it's not just the VDD or ground here. Let's try this one. Let's try that one. Yeah, so the via does go straight over, as far as I can tell. So yeah, so we are good on that end. Okay, now the question is there another break, or is it the MBC chip? Is it the ROM chip? Or is there something on this board that is still broken? Could it be these capacitors? I got a capacitor here, here, and looks like here. Yeah, C1, C2, C3. C4 looks unpopulated. We also have C5. This one looks a little weird though. It's kind of gray. I don't know why that one's gray. Let's just check. Are these shorting? No, no. That one's okay. And that's it. This isn't shorting, right? Do we have a short from ground to VDD? Okay, no short to ground. Is this ground over here on this? Yes. So we've got good connection to this capacitor. What about this one? This one should go to VDD. No, this one goes to ground. This side goes to VDD then. Yep, we're connected there. This one has to go to ground? No, VDD, okay. Interesting. Let me check the other side. And that goes to ground. So this one should go here, right? So does this go to VDD? No. Okay. Shouldn't this, this is a capacitor. I'm not really too sure. It's gray, so it's not like these brown colored ones. So why is that one gray? It says C5, so we're not going to throw ourselves off by thinking that it's an inductor or a resistor, because it says C5, so it must be a capacitor. So shouldn't oh, wait a minute. Yeah, because if we look at this path goes right here, right? Is this ground then? Because this is ground, right? Yeah, that's ground. So then where this one goes off here, why aren't we getting a path to VDD? Is that normal? You know what? Let me check this out, because we've got our other game here, Le Mans, and this one has one of these little gray capacitors too. And this one, let's see if this one acts the same way. Then we should have ground over here, which is right. And then do we have VDD on this end? No. So this little gray capacitor thing is not on VDD on this one. So, okay, I guess that's normal. So do we have some sort of a break somewhere else? This pad down here looks a little weird. This one goes here. This one goes here. This one goes here. I think we're gonna have to go back out to the microscope and look at these.
And here we are yet again at the microscope. I feel like I need a catchphrase for this point, because it seems a little redundant to keep saying this, but we are multimetering, and seeing if the continuity is there between the points. And so far, all of them are there. Brushing up seems to be doing good. This wire here was loose, but it is connected. It is electronically connected, so I don't know what the deal with that is. At this point, I'm like, okay, let's just check all the vias, make sure they're all getting power from everywhere to everywhere, electricity-wise, and they were. All these are all these were connected like they should and beeping. And even the ones over here, I had to switch around the circuit board a few times just to make sure that the camera could pick things up. And we didn't really see anything obvious. It looks bad, but it's working, so I don't know what the problem is. Back to the game.
All right, so we went the Swiss cheese method over here, and we still have not found a single break or continuity issue on this chip. So I'm not entirely sure what the problem is exactly. But we still could have an issue with the board, and I might not just be I might not be seeing something, and obviously this board is chewed up now because we were trying to get some readings off of it. Now, the only problem is I don't have any boards that are compatible with this mapper and this ROM chip. And Army Men Sarge's Heroes is only a $10 game on eBay. I've looked on eBay for other types of games that would be compatible with this layout, all the capacitors and all this stuff. I found a few of them, but they were about $7 each. So does it really make sense to buy a $7 game to try to fix a $10 game? And this cost about $7 ship. So yeah, we have our internal guts of another game to try to work on. Okay, and we got our screw here, and then we can take this board out. Can reuse the case if we get that game working. We've got our oh no, we've got a different style of ROM. Oh no. It's a different variation of the board. This one's a flatter SMT, SMD kind of like setup, and this one's like thicker. Probably more pins on this one. What the heck? Oh, it's an A0901. What? Oh no, I thought Tarzan was an A07. Oh man, I just screwed up. That's $7. Ah! Yeah, this will not work. It is completely different. Well, there goes that idea. I could have gotten the Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen twin game. No. Oh man. Illiteracy strikes again. Couldn't read the board number on the website apparently, because it is wrong. I don't know, we can add Tarzan to the collection. I have failed miserably. Now we've got a piece of garbage game that we don't care about. Alright. Well, that's a good old confidence blow. Well, let's grab the multimeter. Last ditch effort to save this project, this repair. Do we have any signs of breakage anywhere on this game? Anywhere? Okay, unless I did something wrong, then this ROM chip does not have any shorts between the legs. We have a short between ground and VDD? No, looks like it's fine. Okay, well, let's see what about this MBC chip? I don't see anything. I don't know. I might not be doing this right. All right, let's try. What about this capacitor? Is this shorting? No, it's ground was over here. No, that's not ground. That's not shorting. Not shorting. Not shorting. That's the light capacitor. We get this one. That's not shorting either. So I might have broken that one free, but this one might be having an issue. I may have some issues on this right side. We're gonna have to take a look at that under the microscope again.
And at the risk of being even more redundant, here we are back at the microscope. Looking at this joint, I don't know if it's really set up yet. It doesn't really feel good, and I also need to add some more wire here too. So, tried a few different things, connect the wire up to the top. It's really difficult getting anything tacked up there. I really wasn't sure about the connection here, so I went ahead and fizzled with it again. Fizzled? I don't know what I'm saying. Fiddled. Fiddled is what I was trying to say. Fiddled. Anyways, got everything soldered up here. Seemed to be doing okay. Had enough strength back to here.
And here it is. Unfortunately, I do not believe that my soldering skills are very good. So, it looks like a mess. And, I don't know, allegedly, apparently, supposedly, we have an electrical connection between this point down here and this point up here. So, unless I'm doing something completely wrong, we are good to go. Try it one more time. Maybe we can finally use this game for something. All right, now that is as clean as it's going to get. Nope. Just too much damage. I'm assuming it's something with the board, but I am out of funds. So, unfortunately, we're going to have to end the repair here and live to fight another day. Well, I am no expert, and I can definitely mess things up, and this is one of them. I hope this video was at least halfway entertaining. Subscribe for more mistakes. Thank you guys for watching. I hope that I can fix this someday, but today ain't the day. Thanks for watching, and God bless.